Hello friends and everyone, you're welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. Today is going to be a special day for us because I'm going to talk about 4 things in Blazor server application. The first one is going to be authentication and authorization in Blazor server application, and also how to upload and download file in Blazor server app. The third one is how to create a reusable component and use it in the Blazor server application. And the last one is database connectivity. So in doing so, or by tackling all these 4 aspects, I decided to make a small project with this, and that is what we call as Online Post Office. You're shocked, right? Yeah, we're going to have an Online Post Office. We're going to have a box that you can see on the screen as a box, and each box is going to assign to an owner. As soon as you create an account, you can register for a box, and you can send, you can post a file to another box. They can also post it to you. Let's quickly have a look on the screen to see what I'm talking about. Now, before we dive into this, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and also click on the notification icon. As soon as I upload new video, you're going to have a notification to watch it. And also give thumbs up to this video in case you think this video is necessary to you. Thank you so much for doing this in advance, and now let's move on. So first of all, here user has to get authenticated, and we have a login and we have register over here. So user can decide to register an account. User can also decide to log in an account. Okay, now you can see when it comes to the home page, all these are reusable components. That is why there's no route here. You can see as soon as I go to register, in the normal sense, supposed to navigate to /register component. This is a reusable component, so it is a child component, not a parent component. That is why it doesn't have a route on top. Okay, so this is being used inside the parent component that is known as the index page. Now you can just do all stuff to log in and do all stuff to also create an account. Now when you click on this home page, now this home page has a list of boxes over here. Now as soon as you decide to click on each box, it tells you to just type in the key. As you know, for the post office, you have to actually have a key to open that box, isn't it? So you have the same thing over here. Now, a user can decide to check up document or check up the box without logging in. But as soon as the box is open, the user cannot access the user cannot take any action against it. For example, let's check it out. I have a database here, and that's going to be for the box of 3. And let's pick this. This is the box key, which has been assigned automatically as soon as you create an account. Now, box of 3, let's paste in the key here. Click on OK. And as soon as I click on OK, you can see I have welcome. Now, these are the data, or these are the files which have been sent to this specific user. But as you can see, we have the date and time, and also we have the sender, so the one person sent it. We have the file name. And here you can see we have sign in to perform an actions. So the user hasn't signed in, so he doesn't have the access to these. Now let's see. We can just close this up, and now let's return to the home page. And now let's check the other one for this admin. Now this admin, the key here is 75. So I'm going to click on 75, and I'll paste in this. Click on OK. And I could see with this person has only one data here, or file sent, and that is the name of the file. It is a test file, and now sign in to perform an action. Now let's sign in and see what's going to happen. So first, going to sign in here with the user. So using this as a user, let's sign in. So as soon as you sign in, just not for production purpose, but I want you to know that we are using a token. So that's why I decided to pop up the token. But normal sense, you shouldn't pop up token. It should be kept somewhere safe. So I'm clicking OK, and let's see. So as soon as I log in, you can see I have this, my inbox, and I have logout here. The register and the login, they are missing. They are gone. Now let's see, click on my inbox, and you can see we have the same thing here. But this time you can see we have an actions as download and now delete. I can also post a file. Now to post a file, I need to provide the box number, and also the file that I want to do. I have to also provide the same file. Okay, now if I'm done with that, we'll just have here And now this is the one that's been sent to this guy, and you can just download it. So as soon as I click on the check that download section and see what's going to happen, this is the about us. This is the picture JPG. So I click on this, and I could see it has been downloaded over here. I can click on this too, and it asks you, are you want to do that? So if I click on confirm, yes, and it's going to remove from the list. All right, so you can see I'm able to download it, and also I can also send a file here. So let's do one now. We have this file, so this is a post off. Let's see. Okay, so we can send this to post 75 or box 75, right? That's an admin. So let's put the file here, and I'm going to click on box 75. That's what I want to send to. Let's use a file. So let's pick any of these. We can send multiple files. So maybe let's pick contact and home. Let's click on OK, and now let's click on send post. So you can see file sent. Now let's log out, and now let's log in as an admin, or even put 75. When I decide to paste in this, let's see. All right, so you can see here we have the file which has been sent over here, but since we are not signed in, we can't perform any action here. But you can see we have the contact and we have the home. So this means that the user has received the files inside his inbox. All right, so this is a simple app that we're going to do together, right? And we're going to talk about the 4 aspects that I mentioned on database connectivity, reusable component, upload and download file, and also authentication and authorization. The model that we are using here, it is Blazor server application with SQLite database. So take note. All right, so with going through this, let's have a look on the practical aspect. But first, going to have to create a project, and we move on with that. When I'm done with this, I'm going to leave this source code to GitHub. So check the description. We have a lot of information for you over there. You can just have the link as well. Click on it and go to the GitHub. And now don't forget to give me star and clone the source code over there as well. Okay, maybe if you are interested in this, and actually you are glad to watch this, and you want to actually pull up some surprises, you can just check the description. Also, I have the buy me coffee link over there. You can also buy me a hot coffee, right? And I'll be very, very glad to receive it. Thank you so much. Now let's see. So let's click on file, the new project. So I have to stop this first. File, new project, and project name. You're going to choose Blazor server application and demo, Blazor server online post office. Click on next, and the framework that we are using here is 7.0. So click on create to get it created. For the authentication type, we maintain it as none, as you can see from here, because we're going to create a customized one. Okay, now that is set. What we're going to do here first is let's first have a look on the service that we're going to be using inside the Reusables component, and also a database connectivity and etc. Token generating and whole stuff. So let's get into that. But first of all, what we're going to do here is we have to create our models, which we're going to be using in this whole mini project. Okay, so first of all, let's create this. We're going to have a box model. Now this box is going to handle the ID and also the number and assign. This assign is going to be a Boolean expression, which is going to be that true or false. Is it assigned to a user? Yes, no. So let's see, and let's put a folder here as models. Then let's add a class. So this is box, and this is what we want to have in the box. Aside from that, you want to have a file sent. So if you want to send file, post a file to the another box, this is what we're going to use. All right, so that is this one. Now we have the next one as file sent model. So we have the file sent and we have the file sent model. Why are we having that? Let's see. Let me create this and let's see the differences between the two. So that is the file sent, and let's have the properties here so we can compare this. So you see from here we are having a list of files. The reason is maybe it could be that a user will decide to send multiple files as we did. But when we check here, we are restoring it one after the another. So we're going to use this loop through this list and I'll create a subset of this list and I'll install it instantly. So all the instances that we have, we're going to install or we're going to save it one after the another within the list that we have. The sender and other properties are going to remain the same, but we're going to loop through this list and now get the data and I'll store into the database. Don't worry, when we get to where we're using it, you're going to understand this better. Okay, now let's have a login system. So our login going to have just a username and password. If you want to have a key and etc., I can use that. Okay, for now, let's maintain the username and password. So this login. Okay, and let's have my documents. So my documents are going to use to retrieve file from the database and I'll display it according to the user ID. So let's add this my document, and now this document we're going to have the sender, the field ID, that is the file ID. Sorry, you're going to have the sender name, the file name, and the date sent. So we're going to use this to retrieve the data from this file sent model or the file sent class, where you're going to be the entity. Okay, let's have an open box. So this is going to be used when an authenticated user tries to open the box and see. So add a class, and there is an open box. And now with this open box, it's holding only two properties: the box ID, the box number, and now the key. Okay, so that's what it is holding. Now let's have the user account. So this is going to be for registration. And with the registration, we're going to have something like the name, the email, the password, and confirm password. Yeah, so that's what we're going to have. But since I'm not going to install this confirm password and all stuff, so we have to create the user account and then the user model. So the user model is going to be the DTO, whereby the user is going to be the entity. So you can see from here that we have password, this is the user account, we have the password over here, right? And we have the box as well. So password, if we're not having confirmed password, so this confirmed password will come under the user account model. So let's grab this. And now let's add a class. So user account model. Now in this model, that's we're going to have all the properties or the attributes on top, and also going to have access to one properties that is known as the confirm password. And now you can see we are comparing it to this password to check if they are synced together. All right, now the last one you're going to have here is the user role. So user role, that's we're going to store the user role. It could be an admin, it could be a user. So although we're going to use this, we're going to call this to create our token. But at least we have to also store this and know which kind of user is accessing the app. Okay, so which kind of role does the person have? So we can do that as well. All right, so these are the models that we need to create. Now what we're going to do here next is let's create our AppDB context class, and we have to install some packages. Let's see first. So first of all, let's have a connection. We go to the settings, the app settings.json, and there's going to be for our connection string. The data source is what? Box DB. So let me make it demo box DB. And let's have this class. And this is going to be the settings that you're going to be using to generate the token. So here, let's remove one. So make sure you bring comma to separate it. Now here we need to use the port here. So this is a key that we're going to be using. This is a secret key, and you can get a key from this random.awk strings. So you can just generate a key over here. It must be at least 16. Okay, at least 16. Now to get the port, you have to go to the properties and LAN settings, check the HTTPS and here it is 7041. So let's grab this 7041. Then we can now go ahead and now replace it here. That's right. Okay, so now we have this. You can now go ahead and create an AppDB context class, and let's put that context class inside the models folder. Okay, because this is a simple project, so you don't want to creating off a lot of folders here. Whoa, so let me just remove this. Let me add a class to this. And the name is an AppDB context. You can just name it any name that you want. And in here, you're going to have, it's going to inherit from this DB context. And you're going to have create a constructor here. And these are the models that you're going to be using to create a database table. So all these are the table names, and these are the models that we are using. But you see, we have an error here because we haven't installed the database and also the EF core. So let's install that first. What I'm going to do here is, let's comment this. So Control KC, let's comment everything. Now let's go in there and install these packages here. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this. Then I'll just unload this project because I have, all right, save all. Okay. Now when this is being saved, I'll just go to the properties, and now let's see what I can do here. I can just grab these items. So click on this. Now here, let's paste this. So if you don't have this, pause the video, you can just add this and now reload the page with dependencies to get them installed. Or you can install them one after the other. You see, we're using an SQLite, we're using tools, EF core, local storage, bcrypt.net, and newtonsoft.json, and also system.identity model, .token.jwt. So these are the packages that we need for this project to get done. All right, so install this. Now when we are done, we're going to click here and right click, and now let's reload page with dependencies. So right click on this and I reload a project with dependencies, and now let's wait for this to get reloaded and also get these packages also installed as well. All right, so whilst you wait for this, you see it is now, everything is solved now. When you click on outputs, projects, okay, so let's see. Wow, now this is what we're going to do. Let's view the project and see if it's able to get built, meaning everything is in order. Then we can now go ahead and perform a database migration. So once you can see, everything is set. So go to Package Manager Console. If you're not having this here, click on Tools and now Package Manager and now Console. So right here. All right, so in here, CLS, let me clear screen. And this what I'm going to do. So add dash migration. Let me make it as first. So the reason why we are using first here is going to create a file known as the first. Okay, so it's saying that there's not, so you're using the correct assembly. And the tab, all right, so let's see. Yeah. We did not, as you can see from the AppDB context, we commented them, so we have to uncomment it, Control K and U, uncomment it. Now let's do a rebuild quickly. Okay, so here we have to use the EF core. Nothing, all set and done. Now I'll do it again. So done now. Now let's try it again. So add migration first. Now bits are seeded. And now the same thing. So unable to create because we haven't created a connection string. We haven't registered a connection in the program.cs file, right? So let's do that. So this is what I'm going to do. From this, let's use an SQLite. So we go to program.cs here. Then before the build up, we paste this. So without the services.rdb context, we pass in using this SQLite. Then you get a connection string here. All right. And also, let's save this. Now let's do it again. Build. So, all right, set. So let's get it done again. All right, so then let's update the database. So update dash database. So this is going to run. This is going to put this code into action. Okay. Yeah. So table is going to be created. And I want to check here. It's going to add a file here. Oh, it is over even here. Demo box.zip. These are database. Package, you can see done. All right, so now we have this. We can now save this, close everything, and now we can just start creating our close our tab, our services. Okay, so let's create a folder known as services, and now let's start with our service. So I'm going to create a folder here. So add new folder, add services. Make it service, right? Services. Now we are going to create our account service, and that's what we're going to use for creating an account. So right click, add an interface. So choose this interface, and now here account service as an interface, and we need to have this two interfaces, login and now register. Okay, we need this user account model and also this login model. Let's create an implementation class, and that's going to be for account service. So add a class, and instead of having this account service, this time around going to be an account service. So let's paste in that. And now in that, after we are done, we're going to inherit from this. So it has to inherit from the interface that we created, and that is the interface here. And also we need to create a constructor and also create a section where we can have access to the app.json file and grab our connections or grab our sections over here for the JWT authentication. So we have to inject this iconfig, and this is going to be the database connectivity class. Okay. Now, first of all, for this registration, let me just grab the property here. Is it a method? Yes, that's a method. And now let's have a paste. So that's what we are doing. You can see this is a model that is coming as a payload, and we are returning a flag and a message in case there's any error. And now, first of all, we're going to assign an admin to it. So we're going to check that if the name starts with admin, or if it contains, we can make it as contains an admin. Okay, if the email contains this admin, it means you want to, that person is an admin automatically. When you create this application, you can decide to set up a database seeding, okay, by setting up a default value for the data. But this time around, we want the administrator to register for the first time. So this is the first registrant. So as soon as the person registers, the app is going to accept only one email that starts or that contains admin. Aside from that, no email will be accepted which contains admin. So that's what we are doing here. In case it is admin, then assign the row as admin. Okay. But in case it checks an admin is already added already, wow, admin is already added already, then it's going to say admin already registered. So it means the person cannot register. You have to use another email. Then if not, then assign the person as user when the person email doesn't contain admin. And here we check from database and see if the email is already used, because you want to make the emails unique. Okay, so no one can have, no two people can have access to one email. It's not possible. All right, so here, if everything works, then what we're going to do here is we're going to generate a box key. So this box key is what you saw in the database, and that's what's going to be used to open the box for unauthenticated users. Now we check if the box key is already found, then we want to regenerate it again. So that's why we're using while. So while this is not equal to now, it means it is found in the database, then call this method again. We're going to create this method soon. If everything works and we have everything, the box key as well, then we're going to add the person data to the database. But before we do that, the payload coming in here is a user model. So we have to create an instance of this user. That's a user account. So we can skip the password, the confirmed password. We don't want that. So we create, and now for the password, we install this package, bcrypt.net. So we want to encrypt this. We want to hash this. So we pass in the model password. All right. Then for the location, we assign them and we assign the box. So the box number, we have to get the available boxes. How do we get it? We get it over here. We check all the boxes which have an assigned key as false. If it is not assigned, it means it's available. Then if it's available, then get the first one. Okay. The available ones, get the first one and assign it to this person and save it. When done, update the box assigned number. So here, once you have the box assigned as false, it's going to check this specific box here and I'll set the assigned value to true. So that next time it becomes unavailable. Then the next thing that we are doing here, we save changes. and now save the row. So we've assigned the row as either admin or user. We save it to the user row table. As you can see, we create a new instance of this user row. We save it to this table. Then we return your box number and also your boss key. So as soon as you create an account, you're going to have your boss number and your boss key. So you can even have access to the box where you haven't logged in to create this token. But as soon as you create token and log in, you can now have access, real access by creating, having access to actions such as download or delete. If you are not authenticated, you have the access of read only. Okay, so that's what the login, the registration is going to do. Now let's have a look with the method that's the generate box. So to generate this box key, let's have a simple method down here. So we can use to generate the box key. And we're just generating 10 numbers from this, return them as a randomly, pick them and return 10 numbers. Now let's have access to login. So this is a login section. And now here, when the person comes in, we check the email if it is found over there. In case it is found, then we can even check the password, isn't it? So let's say check password. So here we're going to say, so this will return true. So we're going to say if, okay, let's use the bcrypt. So bcrypt.net, so .bcrypt, then .verify. So to verify, we need the first as the text, so the password. So that's the model.password, and now we need the hash password, and that's going to be a chk.password. So this is going to return true. Okay, so we can say that if this is false, then we can just return something like, so return, and this is return the string, so return now. Very simple. So if the password did not match, then return now. But in case it does match, then get the row from the user and now generate this token. So token, we need the person ID, the email, and the row name. So to generate the token, we can have a simple method to generate the token here. Okay, so let's have this. Generate token. You can see we have a security key that we set up in the app.json. We're using the algorithm of what the HMAC SH256, and we create a claims. Now these are the claims that we need for the name identifier, and that's going to be for the ID. We need an email, and also we need the person's role name, either an admin or user. So maybe in the later on, we want to restrict them, both the user and the administrator. We can do that, and we generate the token and return as a string. So that's why you see we return a string here. Then return to the user from the ID, the email, and then the token. So you can see this is a return a string. So as soon as this comes in here, the output of this method is going to be string, and we're going to return it to the user. Okay, so here our authentication system is now done. Let's go to the next one. That's going to be the post. Okay, so let's close this, and now let's have the post service. So in case I want to post something, I want to post a file to another person box, how can I do that? Interface. So I put service, and now we're going to have these 5 methods. These are our interfaces. So there's a get list, post office boxes, and also get my document as a list, and also send file, delete file, and now open box. So these are the methods. Now let's go for the implementation for these file or these interfaces. So we grab these and we go to the same folder, and now we can actually separate them. Okay, but don't worry, we can also put them together as I have done. And the first thing is this has to inherit from this, the interface. So it has to inherit from the interface. We have this appdb context class also injected. And we can go ahead, and now the first thing is we want to get all the post office boxes. Okay, so and display them on the home page. So return the list of boxes. The next one is a get my documents. So to get my documents, you have to pass in the user ID. So user ID comes in here. We check the database. That's the files in the database. Retrieve all lists which is related to this user ID. Now when you have to look through them, and now with each grab the user, grab the user details. So you can see we have the file ID, just this item ID. When looking through this get user files. Now the sender detail, you want to have the sender name, the file name, and also the date sent. So we are populating the document and returning it to the user. So as soon as you click on the home page or my inbox, you see the file as we saw earlier on. Okay, the next one here is the send file. So if I want to send file, if I click on post file, what I'm going to do, I have to provide the box number and I have to provide maybe the receiver ID. And that's why we create a model as file sent model. When you pick this, let me pick the definition here. You can see it has ID send, and you can see it has a list of file name. So this means that the file that the user is going to click, the user can decide to choose multiple files. In such case, you have to store them, loop through the files and store them and return the names as a list so we can actually put them here. Now we check if they are not null, then we're going to check if that box, if the box exists. Maybe user can decide to pass in or type in box 1000, 5000, whereby that box even doesn't exist. So in such case, you have to return something. But in case the box is found in the database, then we can now go ahead and now also get the person's ID, that's the box owner. We want to get the person's detail because here we are accepting only the receiver box number from this file sent model. So the receiving box number, it is assigned to a specific user. So we go to the user account and now find that box and now grab the user info. And we can now look through the list over here and now specify the sender ID, the receiver ID, and also the date sent, and now save it. So that's for the posting, right? As you can see from here, we are looping through the file names. So the file names here, it is a list from this. So we can check if it is only one, then it's going to happen once. But in case it is more than two, then you know that it has to loop and now save it twice or more. Now the next one here, it is delete. So if I want to delete files, very simple. So in the Razor component, we must have something like, okay, so maybe this is the date sent. Check, so that is this one. Now you must have a system whereby confirmation dialog box. So if you want to do this, if yes, then call this method, okay? And I get the file ID and I remove it, save changes, and I return the file name has been deleted. And now if I click on open box, this is going to be used by unauthenticated users. Open box. This box has the box number and also the key. So go through this user account and now check if the box number and the key are found. Okay, and they are on the same record. Then return the ID of the user. If not, return 0. Okay, so we have this. So we have our interfaces and our implementation class created. What we're going to do here next is we have to register this in the program.cs file before we forget them. Okay, so we go back to the program.cs file. And now in here, we have to register them. We create a DI dependency injection over here. Okay. Now, we also install Blazor local storage. So let's also get that. That's registered. And now the next thing that we're going to do here is we have to create an authentication state class or service. And this we're going to check if the user is authenticated anytime the person tries to navigate or log into our account. So let's copy this. So customer authentication state provider, and it is substituting this authentication state provider. So we go to this, and in here we can create, or even the data folder, we can create another folder here, and I name it as authentication. Then inside this, we click and let's add a new class. Let's name it as custom authentication state provider. So with this custom authentication state provider, you know, it has to inherit from this auth state provider. Okay, so let's have it done here. And this contains an override class that we can actually use it. So let's see. Now, first of all, let's inject this on top. A local storage service and also this claims principal. Then we can create a constructor and now inject this into it. So this is a constructor, then we pass them here. We don't need this method here, So let me just remove them. Okay, now let's override the default method, and that's the default method here. That's a get authentication state async. And now that's what we are having. We're going to get a claim from this. We get the token from the local storage, as you can see, get item async. If it is null, then return anonymous, user is unknown. In case it is found, then you want to extract the claim because the token contains the claims. So you want to extract them. In such case, we are creating a private method to do that, and that is a get claims from JWT. So when you have that, then you're going to set it to this authentication state service here. And we have to also create a separate class to handle that by passing in the output of this as an input to this method. Else, they want to return, in case try and catch there's any error, then return the user is unknown. You know, when the page loads for the first time, server side is going to be called this, and it's going to have an error here because it hasn't gotten to the client section and you can't access to the locals. But the next time that it renders, this is going to work. So make sure you have to, or you handle this with try catch error. Okay, try catch block. All right, so let's have the next method. That's going to be update auth state provider. Now, as soon as I click on update, what I'm going to do, you know, here we are getting the token. So here we want to set the token. We pass in the token here. We create an instance of this. We check if the token coming here, it is null, then it means you want to delete it. So if so, then remove it. That is when the user logs out. But in case it is not, then when the person logs in first, then set it to the local storage and also call this get the claims, set to the claim principal, and I return or notify the authentication state. Okay, and now passing the claims over here to this authentication service. So the user can now be authenticated peacefully. Okay, now let's have the first method that set claims. So for the set claims, after we have retrieved all the claims, you know, we have to set them here. So name identifier, name, and now the row. This is the method, or these are the properties coming in from this parameter, and these are the properties that we specify here. Okay, from this set claims here. Now let's go to the get claim. So in here we have to decrypt the token, and I retrieve the claims. So there's a method that we're using to decrypt the token, and here you can see it is returning the email and row and also ID. It's accepting the token. And now here we check if it is not null, or if it is null, then return this. But in case it is not, then return find out or fish out all the rows, fish out all the claims. That's the row, the email, and the ID, and I return them respectively. Okay, so this is our custom auth state provider that we have created. So now let's go to the app.razor, and now let's surround the whole settings with the cascading authentication state, so we can check when you want to route to any page that is the user authenticated or not. So in here, let's surround it with this cascading auth state, and I have to use an authorized route view here. And now here, when authorizing, you want to delay for 500 milliseconds. Let's save that. All right, so after doing this, we have to inject this into our import.razor. So in all of that, let's have a look at this. We are going to, let's grab this. We go to the import, and all the headings that we're going to be using and all the services, let's set them here. Okay, so with this, let's grab this. Let's change them like this. So we have the iPost service, the iAccount service. These are the interfaces. We create an instance of them. We have navigation manager, IJS runtime. We have this iWeb host, and now authentication state provider. So this we're going to use for uploading a file to the database. Okay. Now let's save all this. Then we are good to go. Okay, so let's have the next thing is let's have our layout. So we go to the main layout and go to the pages or the shared folder, and because we have the main layout here. So all this you're going to paste this. The simple one, online post office. Let's paste that and I'll save it here. Okay. Now, when we are done, let's go to the www folder. Let's create a folder here, and that's what we're going to use to store our files here. So let's make it as files. That's what we're going to be using here. All right. So we are now going to create our components. Okay. So the components, we're going to put them in the pages folder. So let's start. All right, so here, the first one that we're going to create here is, let's have our header and our the footer first. Okay, so let's have a header page, and I'm going to use this counter as a header page. Okay, now within the header page, we are going to create our this Razor component is going to be the reusable one. So all events, we are handling them outside this. We use this event callback so that we can have this access to this event anytime that we call this component in a parent class. So as soon as we did not pass in the route here, it means this class or this file here is going to be a chat component. We are using this navbar as a Bootstrap classes that we are using. And also, if you check this, is a container fluid that we are using over here. And you can see this is a nav bar. So there's a nav bar on top. That's why you saw in the tutorial, that's the demo one. And here, if you're authorized, we want to have my inbox shown. If you're not, then hide that. And like you see, we have home and we have about us. Okay, so it's just a nav bar that we are creating. Now, as soon as I click on home, we want to handle this. We want to invoke a method here, so we can call this method outside the page. And also, my inbox is click. We want to also handle the same event over there. So that's what you see. We have this at on click. We have this inbox click. And also at on click, we have this home page click, right? And the same thing applies to this home page click as well. Let's save this, and I'm going to just close this, open this again. So it's going to be colored one to header. Okay, so we have this is the home page clicked, and also the same home page click. This time I use an about us. So I did not implement the about us. That is why I have the same thing repeated twice. But in case you want to have a page to define the about us, you can do that. And I'll change the name here, and you create an event callback. Then you call the method which can be assigned over here. Then you invoke this event callback here. Okay. Now let's have a look at the next one, and that's going to be the footer. So the footer is going to display beneath the page. So let's use fetch data to display the footer. And now within the footer, you want to have the same thing, this is the footer section, as you can see. And here we're going to have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook beneath. And aside from that, you can see we have this icons. These are all footer icons. So it's an ordered list, right? An ordered list. And we have, if it is authorized, display logout. That is when you're authorized. If you're not, then display just login and register. When each of these is clicked, create an event callback here, create this method that has been issued over here, and I invoke this event callback. So as we did for the header, we are doing the same thing for this. You see, it's very simple. So let's save this. Let me close it. If I open it again, you're going to see it clearly. So yeah, that is this one. Now, so we are done with our footer and our header. What we're going to do next here is, let's start by creating our let's see, home component. Now the home component, let's see, I'll just grab this, and in here let's use this index as home. So with this, we are using this chat component. Let me save this. Let me just open it again. Okay, so we say that here we are using this chat component. Now let's see if the name, they are not linked. Okay, so we have these post office boxes. We are not done creating them. That's why we have this error here. But we see from the footer, we initialize or we expose two methods: homepage click, my inbox click. So we can now create a method and handle them here. And as soon as we click on that method, this event is going to be get fired inside the chat component. Okay, now that's what we are doing. Now you see from the footer too, we had the same thing as well. And now these are, you see all these are private Boolean expression to show and hide. Okay, and as you can see from this is a box. So control period. Let's use this model. So I have to cut this and now assign it to the import. So we do not have all the users here. All right. Now we have the same for footer, and now that's what we are doing here. So you see that here we are handling all the process. So here there's a reset view. So we set all of the view to false. Okay. So at the time before we set any to visible, we have to reset everything. Then we set that specific one component to true to get it displayed. Load boxes. We are loading all the boxes because we are calling a service here, and it is a boxes object. That's a list of objects. That's what we are assigning here. So this is what we're going to be used to display on the screen. Now with these boxes, you can see we are assigning these boxes here as a parameter, a list of parameter from this post office. Oh, see how I wrote the office boxes. And now you can see from the next one, we are handle home click and our register click and all the clicks over here. You can see we have to reset all. So we call this method, you reset everything and now show the specific one. So here we are showing this show box list. We are showing this register page, login page, about us page, individual page, and etc. Right? This individual page. That's what we are doing. Now, in case here, just click on handle operation or not handle open box clicked. Now, this is what you want to open box. You can see we are passing it. It is accepting a payload of open box as a model. So this model comprises of the box number and the key here. Okay. So we check if the user ID is greater than 0, then you want to call the service. So you can see we are calling a service. And now when this service is going to return the user ID. Okay, as you saw when you were doing you're doing the implementation. This is going to return the user ID. So here, in case you return the user ID, then you want to assign it to this user ID. This user ID here is okay, so it's a public property here as a user ID. And the next thing that we are doing here is that's a logout. So when logout, you want to call this service. That's the authentication state provider service that we created. And you pass in null. So remember that here, as soon as a null comes in, we are going to remove it from the, you can see as soon as this is null, check here. As soon as this is null, they want to remove this. So it means you want to remove this token. That is when you log out, that's what you're going to do. So you can see that we are handling all the operations here. Maybe this might not be the best practice for you. You can actually put them into separate components. You put the code beneath each of them to make it simple as well. Okay, but this also works. Then here, that's a handle. If I want to register, this is what I'm going to do. I'll call a service, passing the model over here. Then I'm going to return flag and the message. This is a Boolean expression, and so the message. In case true, then display this. In case false, then display that. And that's if I click on login, I do the same thing as well. And here we want to cache the auth state provider that we created. And here case, that is the custom authentication state provider. And now we are binding it to the auth state provider. Okay. So here we can now have access to this update authentication state. Then you pass in the token from this login. So when you click on use authentication state service, see authentication. Okay, so when you call this, you have to pass in the token, and this token can be received from the service here. So you receive it over here as an output, then it's going to come here as an input to this method. Then it's going to call a method over here by setting up or sending this token to the custom auth service that we created. Okay, so that's all that we want to do here. So with this, we have to, let's say I cancel the register. This has to return. Now let's see the output of this. Okay, so here let's create the next component that you see here. Now I want to remove this. You don't want to add this for now. So let's create this individual box component. So let's save this. And all right, so let's right click on the page component. Let's add a new razor component. And now that's an individual box razor. And now with this page, you want to have this when the user is authenticated and logged in. Okay, so the person is going to see this. So we have this. This is going to be shown as true or false. and that's going to display this. Now, when you check this, let's move this section to the import. Okay. Now, when it comes to individual box, we have a Bootstrap class using as a card, and here we have a list of icons. As you can see, this is a list item, and it's a nav tabs. So here we're using a Bootstrap tabs, and now this, the title of this tab here, it is known as inbox and now post file. So send file, and now we have method to handle each of them. So there's a receive post file here. That's a post file clicked. So in case they are clicked, what do you want to do? Let's check this. You also have this send item page, and now this send item page, we want to show this send file page. Okay, so this is a Boolean expression that we are using, and we're going to store that in here. So you can see this is also a child component that we are using. So when you have a look at the first component, how to use the child parent component, you can also use the same method to handle another child component inside the child component. Now this page here is going to be a child component, but it is also carrying another child, and that's a send item page and also receive post page. Okay, now let's have a look. Here, to get access to the user credentials, we have to inject this cascading parameter, and we have to get the auth state. And in here, we create this parameter here as this. These are all Boolean expression, and this for the user ID to handle that. Now, this is for document list, for individual or a list of documents from the user. So this is going to grab all the files that have been received by your email, okay, or your box, and display it on the screen for you. Now, you can see from here that when the page initializes, we set everything to false. Then we set the current one to true. So that's how you can see show receive post file, set it true. And now you set this to true. This is what we use on top here. So there's a show individual page, and now here is going to display this show send file and also show receive post file. So this is going to display this receive post page component here. Okay, now when you check the parameter async, we said that if this is going to, this is the parameter. As soon as it changes, we want to load file from the database passing the user ID, because this is going to accept the user ID. So we are going to assign the user ID here, and I'll call the service. Now this method, that what is doing here is a load file from database. So when you check this, it is calling a service over here, right? And it gets a list of files from the user and also populate it to this my document, and I'll display them. So here we check if the result.count here is greater than 0, then we want to get it cleared. That is when the result here is more than 0. Clear the container, and I'll loop through this list and assign them. Okay. Now this method here, it is to receive post file clicked. So hide these ones, and also show receive post file set to true. And I'll call this get user service. So this is a get user service, and here we want to have access to the username and user ID. So we have to cast it to this, and we can now check if it's authenticated. Then we can pass in, we can convert the ID, since it's a string, you can convert it into integer by using end.pass. Then call this method and pass in this user ID here. Okay, so that is what we are doing it here. Now this is a handle delete. So in case I want to delete it, then display a confirmation message. As soon as I click on confirm, then remove it from the list, and also call the service, and I'll delete it, and now call state has changed method. And that is if I click on handle download icon, so we're going to create a download icon. So if I click on that, we create a file URL, then we set it to this. That's the port, the folder name, and then the file name. Okay, then we invoke this method. So trigger file download. We pass in the file name and also the file URL. Okay, so with this, we have to have a method in there to handle this. And that method, when we are done with this, we're going to talk about that. So here, reset everything, and I set tabs to now. So set inactive tab. So here, if I click on each tab, a current tab must set to active. So that's what this method is going to do. So we set this to now mean there's no an active tab. Now when you set this to active, we see here has been set to active. This active, so it is switching between the two tabs, as you're going to see soon, or you saw earlier on. Okay, so we have this set. Let's go to the host file, and now for the upload, you have to add the script to the page. So go to, and now check the host file down here. Let's add this. Okay, so in order for this to work, we have to actually add a Bootstrap class. So with the Bootstrap class, we have to download one. Let me have one here, so I'm going to copy this, and I'll go to the www folder. I'll click this. Now let me paste this here as a Bootstrap class. Now within that, I'm going to link the CSS and now the bundle, that's the CSS and now the JS class as well. So here, instead of having this Bootstrap, I'm going to replace them here with this. So we have this, and I have the bundle.js over here. So you make sure you do the same. If you don't know how to get this, go to solution, right click on this www root, and I click on add, then new client side library, tap in Bootstrap, and you can now install it peacefully. So now let's create our login component. So login component, let's use that. Right click on the pages. Let's add the component here, and that's the login page. So within the login page, we are going to also handle all. Like you see, we have just email and password. Okay, and that's what we have here. So if this is true, then show this. If not, then hide that. And that's what we have. So this is the parameter, and this is the event callback. Now this event callback, it is different from the first one because here we are returning an object. Okay, so we invoke it and I return this object. Now the next thing is the post office box. So that's going to display the list of the post office. So on the screen, so let's add a new component and post office boxes, and it's going to call a service. So we're going to use a for each loop to loop through it, and now display it over here. As you can see, we create a class, that's a card, and now we pass in the box number in between, and it is coming in with a list of boxes as a parameter. So as soon as it gets it, it's going to be used to loop through, and I'll set it to the various boxes or the divs here, which has been classified or designed as a box. And now in case I click on any that I want to enter into that box, we have a this prompt. So please enter the box key. So as you know, if you have a box key, then you provide over here, and I click on OK. As soon as I click on OK, it's going to invoke this method, and I'm passing the object that you created, which has been assigned over here with the box key and the box number. So anywhere that we use it, we can now call this service or this method, and now handle this over here. We're just going to return this object because here we are invoking this, and it is accepting or this returning an object here. Okay, now the next one is the receive post page. So receive post page, if I want to create, let's see, so right click on this, and this is going to be used as a home page for an authenticated user. Okay, so if you're authenticated and now you log in, you must be able to receive all your letters, and as you can see from here, so with this we are creating a table. We have a date and time, sender, file, action, and etc. And now you can see we are looping through this document. This document here, it is a list. Let's check it down here. You can see it is a list of my document coming in, and it is a parameter. Parameter is variable. So as soon as it comes to this, we are going to loop it over here, and I'm going to check. We're going to arrange it by date. All right, so by descending order, so you can have the current date on top, and we loop through it. We pass in the table data and data sent. That's the date. We have the file sender name, and we have the file name as well. Okay, if you're authorized, then you can see these actions: download and delete. So in case you click on any, invoke this method, so we can call this anytime that we want inside the main layout. Okay, so that's for this. We have the last two. The last one is the registration page. So if I want to register, what I'm going to do, I'll click on the page and I'll add a new Reuser. And here it is going to be for registration, or that's a register page. So for register page, we need to have just the name, the email, the password, location, password, and unconfirmed password. Okay. Now when you have this, we have to also invoke the same thing. So you can see from here that it has invoked it, and this can be called anywhere as soon as you display it. Okay. So we can just do it by using this method. The last one here, that's a send page, and that is where we are going to upload the file. So let's see, from this solution, right click on the pages, and now component, send item, then control period. Let's paste this here. Now this is what we have here. When you check here, we have just if this is shown here to be true or false. And since we have added this already, we can just remove it. Let's save that. Okay, so you can see there's an edit form, file sent model, and they're going to handle that. Now here we have just a box number, and now this is an input file. It is accepting or supporting multiple items. So when I come here, we have to get the user ID. So by calling this method, you can have access to the user ID. Then if you check this, when that is handled set, or that's a handle send. So if you click on send, what's going to happen? We check if the model is not, then return. In case it is not now, then call a service. So you can see from here that save upload files. So and here we are calling this load or loaded files. Loaded files over here. Let's see, loaded files. It must be around here. Yeah, that's a loaded file here. So it's a list of an R browser file. Okay, and that's the file that we have selected from our computer into the section that you want to upload it. And in such case, we upload it to the list here. Going to handle the names. Then we assign, or we get the name, the user ID from the service. That's the auth service over here. Then we can now call a service that is send file, and it's going to return either a flag and the message. And in case the flag is false, then display this. But in case it is true, then empty the container. Now when you come to this, that's a load files. So here we're looking through the list. As soon as you just select an image from select a file from the computer and then try to upload it. We have to store all the files here, and I'll look through them and I'll check if the file size is equal to what you want, or if all the stuffs. Okay, and that's what we are doing here. If everything is working well, as you can see from here, we want to check also if the file isn't uploaded already. If not, then we're going to add it to the list files here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to save them here. So save it, passing the file list, and I'm looping through all the files, and I'll save them one after another to this folder known as files. So that's what we created. Okay, yeah. So that's all we need to do to make this work. Now let's save everything here. All right. So one thing you can see from here that we specify the file, that's the maximum file size, and that's the 5 megabytes. Okay. So if your file exceeds its size, meaning you want to tell you that, hey, the file is more than what we expected. So please, either you can compress it or choose another file. And at the max allow file size, so you can select 5 files at a time. 5 files at a time. Yeah. Okay, so you can see from here that we are saving it one after the other. And that is all. You can see we are looping to the list, and now save it one after the other. Okay. So all set and done, what we're going to do here is, let's see, when we go back to the home page, we have everything set. You see all set and done. We can just build this application. So we see that all these components, we are using them inside the home page. So here we have only one route, and the other ones, we're using this either true or false to just show and now hide them. And we're using an event callback to use this reusable component. So this component that has been created can be used anywhere. So in case next time I want to create a mobile version of this, I can just do that. Maybe if you want me to do that, you can just let me know. And we're going to see a way to raise the same component, and I'll add a Mari hybrid project, and I'll get it off. Okay. So we can just set up a mobile app version 2 with the same component that have been created and rendered here. All right, so let's save this and let's build it and see if it works. Then we say hooray, we can just run this application peacefully. So while it is building, please subscribe to the channel in case you like what I'm doing and want to get more. Do that, and also give a like to this video. Now let's see, the namespace is not found. Let's see why it's not found, because we haven't added the namespace. Let's do it again. So all set. Now let's run this application, and it's going to work the same as we did for the first time. All right, so it is successfully run. As you can see, we have all this, and you can say this, the settings or the font here is different from what I used at the tutorial. Yes, I added a new font, and the font name that I used was the name of that font. Let me see. So font, that's a Villa TTF, that's a Villa true type format. Okay, and for now, so if you want to know how to add a font, I just have to download a font from the internet. So, and you go to the settings, solution, then where you have this, you can just paste it here. So let me just paste it this, and as you can see, we have this font. So that's a Villa.ttf. And when you are done, you need to now set this in the settings. That's a site.css. So you can just do that with just simple code. So go to the site CSS, site.css, and maybe down here, you can add that font here. So there's a allocation for the font, and that's a font family. And now when you are done, to set it the whole page, you can just set it to this. So instead of using the body font family of this, you can just change it. So let me just grab this, and let me change this to this, and this control case. Let me just, okay, now when I'm done, if I run this again, yeah, you see it as now I'm changed with the format that we use here. So you can just register, log in. You can see we have it. You can also register, and home, we are in there. We have no box here, so let's try to add a box. So if I click on open database, then let's navigate to the demo mini project. So demo, then we have the database here, and let's see boxes. So here box, let's have maybe this is 1, so 1 no, maybe this is 32. Let's have, oh, okay, so 4, and let's see. Okay, so let's have this, right? Changes, refresh this, and you're going to have the following boxes here. If I click on this, it asks me enter your box ID. If I pass in on the key, it's going to open. If I click on login to, I can now create an account and register, as you can see. So it is the same thing as we saw earlier on from the first tutorial. All right, so that is it for this video. I don't want to make this video too long. That is why I decided to make it short here. The source code of all these projects will be available at the GitHub, so please just go there and grab it. Okay, don't worry yourself by typing all this. You're gonna waste time a lot with that, but you can also do it by just going there and get the source code. You can just review it a lot of time, and in case you have any issue too, let me know.